Welcome back to Downbelow. My name is Steve.
I'm Ian.
And together we are designing the Downbelow narrative diceless RPG system.
So, today we're talking about stuff.
Yesterday we talked... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yesterday we talked about the general story role of technology, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about how you can use stuff in your system. Back to you.
So, in the system, as we've mentioned in the basic rundown and various times when we're talking about it, every character, in addition to the things that that character is specifically good at and can succeed because they're good at, can, if they have the right tool for the right job, succeed because of that once per game session, and that is effectively a trait that they could recharge by failing at a challenge if they have done so already this session.
Wow,
so,
that sounds incredibly simple. Alright, I guess we're done talking about stuff.
Well, let's talk about what makes something the right tool for the right job.
Exactly.
And what that means in the context of actually playing with it.
Item powers are nothing new in role-playing games. They've been around since, honestly, the early days of D&D. The 4th edition of D&D really played with codifying it into part of the character, and in this way, that's actually our direct inspiration for taking this and making it not just a bonus for your character, but something that's mechanically equivalent to the other traits on your character sheet, and in fact recharged the same way.
And there's another layer to it, which is that you can actually have, as one of the traits on your character sheet, a specific piece of equipment that, rather than saying you are good with computers, you can say that as a trait of your character, that your character has the latest mobile computing device.
Or to use a recent relevant example, the Winter Soldier would have on his character sheet
cybernetic arm.
Super strong cybernetic arm.
So that would say that as the story goes on, the fact that you have a piece of gear which is really good is one of the defining traits of your character. And although you might lose that piece of gear, you will either get that trait replaced in the next story with a different trait.
See our previous discussions on trait evolution as character advancement.
Or, in the next story, you will once again have the latest piece of gear because it's a defining trait of your character that they come into possession of such things.
Tony Stark always has a brand new Iron Man suit shortly after his last one is scrapped or destroyed, and it's usually better.
The Mark whatever gets destroyed, and the Mark whatever +1 he makes, and there we go.
So that's talking a little bit about stuff as a core concept of the character sheet itself, but what about the right tool for the right job bonus?
So, most of the time, the stuff that you have in Downbelow is not going to be the right tool for the right job because of what we talked about yesterday, where you get pretty crappy stuff in general, because whatever filters down into the Downbelow economy is usually secondhand, used, or maybe it's just surplus, didn't get bought, and is now obsolete.
Unless it's storyline appropriate, we always assume that characters have enough to get by on, because let's face it, we're not necessarily all here to play a game about accounting and starvation. We're here to play a game about struggles, but we're doing a little escapism here. So the day-to-day necessities are considered to be covered at whatever standard of living is appropriate to your character.
You've got food, but it's not tasty. You've got a place to live, but it's not great, is usually the assumption until the story specifically threatens those things,
right.
Which it probably will, but...
But that's a discussion for another video.
What we're talking about here is, okay, you can't just say, well, I have a blah. I have a weapon. I will use that to attack. Well, you've probably got a crap weapon. You might have a board. You probably don't have a gun unless you've specifically acquired one in the story or have it as a trait, because our main setting is on an island and weapons are controlled for their entry onto this rather controlled island. And
they still manage to filter in, but there again, that's another discussion.
There's enough of them that if you specifically went to get one, you could get one, but unless you specifically got one, you probably don't have one.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, so stay tuned. But we've still got some of today to go.
The stuff that you generally have, your low-quality stuff, you're going to have to find a creative application for that stuff in order to make it the right tool for the right job. Or it's going to have to be stuff that you acquired this stuff somehow in the course of the current on-screen or a previous on-screen. And so this is one way that story evolution carried on from one story to the next, even though your character isn't advancing by gaining more traits, because we don't typically do that in this system. The fact that it's been established that your character actually has this pretty sweet ride because you rode out of the last story with it and there's no reason for you to have lost it yet, that sweet ride could be the piece of equipment that gets you across town in 20 minutes when it would normally take you an hour on the tube.
There's two things to note about this. The first is that this is functionally the equivalent of the comic book author putting an asterisk next to something and in a footnote saying, note, Peter Parker picked this up in issue 16. Just to remind people. And the equivalent of that is, yes, GM, we wrote this down on the inventory section of the character sheet. We've still got it until we lose it. The second, though, is that because this is purely... Honestly, it's fairly cosmetic until you come up with a creative application for it. And everything in the inventory section is lumped into the right tool for the right job bonus. There is nothing in here that has any sort of script immunity. If it's a trait, a specific trait on your character sheet, it's not entirely protected. Any stuff can very easily be destroyed, but you'll get some compensation back at minimum by being able to replace that trait with something else. With this stuff, if it's stolen, if it disappears, if it is used up, it's gone, and you have to either find it again on your own terms or acquire something similar to be able to claim it for the bonus.
Essentially, the difference between stuff that's in inventory and stuff that's actually a specific trait is that any given situation of failure, even if it's not a really important high-tension situation...
And sometimes situations of success, if it's not something that's entirely appropriate to this situation.
Especially a success that you got by using that thing.
Which might have limited ammunition, limited uses, or even just be trackable after that.
You have to use it really hard to get that much out of it. You had to crash that car into the building to get your way in.
Yep.
Well, this kills the vehicle.
I had a grenade. I used the grenade. I no longer have a grenade to use.
So, stuff in that category, any given failure or success might use it up or get rid of it. Stuff that's actually a trait on your character sheet, a failure may temporarily take the use of that trait away from you because of consequences of the situation, but you will eventually get that trait back, maybe in a different form.
Now, this does lead to some potentially hilarious situations. GMs, do be careful. It's a totally legitimate thing for a character to have the trait always has grenades. This does mean that after every failure, he could recharge that and miraculously have another grenade. Please negotiate with your players to make certain that it is appropriate for suspension of disbelief that he does have one more grenade, even though his trait says that he always has grenades.
And feel free to deny the recharge of that trait if the character has specifically been strip-searched and placed in a holding cell, and there's no way they have another grenade hidden on their person.
Or the equivalent, being in fancy dress at a party counts too.
Might count, depending on how thoroughly they were searched. So, basically, if it's a bad situation for them to recharge that trait, go ahead and tell them, no, right now you are disallowed from recharging that trait, and some other time they will be able to.
This actually goes for pretty much any trait. It's just more obvious when it's a physically based trait that has limited uses.
Right now you are too exhausted to refresh your physical strength trait. You haven't had sleep in 48 hours. So, hope that gives you some insight into how stuff can be used in the system and how to deal with players trying to get their I have the right tool for the right job out of their technology. I'll make the final note before we end this episode that the right tool for the right job bonus can actually apply to things other than technology. It can apply to contacts and people who you know as well, but that's a slightly different application of the topic, so we'll cover that another time.
It is, however, still the same use of the success. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Down below.